I have 6 things I want to highlight and point out from week 1 of the NFL. First, in week 1, the Cowboys and the Eagles both looked really good. Both of their quarterbacks are going into their sophomore seasons, and both absolutely lit it up this weekend. I believe Carson Wentz, the Eagles quarterback, is more talented than Dak Prescott, the Cowboys quarterback. But this is going to be a fantastic rivalry for years to come. Carson Wentz just looks, oh man, he looks like a monster. He looks like what Andrew Luck should look like if Andrew Luck had anyone around him. I am so excited for this Cowboys-Eagles thing is going to be good for years to come, and I can't wait to watch them play this year. I have the Eagles edging out the Cowboys and winning the division in Week 17, but I think both teams are playoff teams. Eagles-Cowboys game is going to be really special this weekend. And by the way, I was shocked. The Giants looked really bad. I actually had the Giants making the playoffs. It's week 1. It's way too early to tell. But if they keep playing like that, they're not getting a wild card spot. Second, another team that really might not make the wild card, Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals got absolutely waxed by the Ravens. 20-0. And honestly, 20-0 is that's the nice way of putting it, because it felt way worse than 20-0. Andy Dalton, the Bengals quarterback, had 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 interceptions and a fumble. I picked the Bengals to go 11-5 this year and get the wild card spot. And again, it's way too early to tell. But that performance was not an encouraging look, from my opinion. The Bengals look all sorts of dysfunctional. I thought their new offensive weapons, they have new receivers, they have some really good running backs. And I thought plus an experienced Andy Dalton was going to translate to a better team and put them over the top. It's still too early to tell, but I am scared. I do not like what I saw. Yesterday, Andy Dalton's performance was alarming, to say the least. The Bengals look awful. This weekend, another surprise, the Texans got smoked by the Jaguars. And man, I did not expect this. The Texans' offensive line was completely invisible. The Texans' offensive line might as well not have even showed up. I do expect the Texans to have a poor season, but I do have a talented roster. I was like, man, this team they're a good roster. I thought they would at least take care of business against the Jaguars. And they lost by, I think it was 29-7. They didn't just lose. They got blown out. It was ugly, and it was bad, and it was awful. And I thought it'd be at least week 8, the bye week, before the Texans played their rookie quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Yesterday at halftime, they made the move and just put him in, and he actually played better than Tom Savage. Now, part of the reason was not really because of making better reads. He just had the ability to run, so when the pass rush got there, Deshaun Watson was able to run away from the pass rush. So I actually believe, even though I think Tom Savage is currently the better quarterback, Deshaun Watson is the right quarterback for the Texans because he can run. He's mobile. He can alleviate some of the damage that the poor offensive line brings. He can take care of business, where Tom Savage is going to get sacked and fumble and just it's ugly. So at least Deshaun Watson would give you a chance to move the ball. Oh man, you guys said Matthew Stafford was not worth the money. Oh, y'all were wrong. Matthew Stafford beat the Cardinals 35-23. The Lions, man, Matthew Stafford has put the Lions on his back. He carries that franchise. I told you guys, you need a quarterback to win, and Matthew Stafford is absolutely worth the money. Matthew Stafford has 26 fourth quarter comebacks since 2009. Now, he's 4th on the list of active players, but most of those guys have been playing since 2001. So I believe Matthew Stafford might be the leader in the time period since he's been in the league. He added another one this weekend. Matthew Stafford played on fire. He had 4 touchdowns, carried the Lions to a victory from behind. It is clear Matthew Stafford is worth every penny. The Rams smashed the Colts 46-9. I believe it was 46-9. It might have been 46-3. Jared Goff, the Rams quarterback, played great. Jared Goff looked fantastic. And this was a huge win for him. To get the start like that against the Colts, to hit the ground running and have some success early on, that's awesome. And I think that Jared Goff looks great. We'll address more on Wednesday how I think he's going to look the rest of the year, but we cannot forget, this was half that Jared Goff looks really good. Finally, I think he's getting good coaching. But the other half was that, the Jets and the Colts are competing back and forth to be the worst two teams in football. And honestly, the Jets looked better than the Colts. The Colts are atrocious. The Colts are such a bad team. So we cannot forget that while Jared Goff was successful, the Colts are just terrible. And Chuck Pagano, after the game, the Colts coach Chuck Pagano said, "Congratulations to the 49ers." Dude, you didn't play the 49ers. You played the Rams. I like Chuck Pagano. He seems like a nice guy. And it was great. He has got a good story. He beat cancer. But I think this is his last year in Indianapolis. It is well past time, but the cancer, earned him a couple more years. Chuck Pagano era, it's coming to an end in Indianapolis. And the Colts are atrocious. Finally, before we go to break, the Browns played the Steelers quite well. The Steelers beat the Browns 21-18, and Deshaun Kaiser made a ton of mistakes. The Browns gave up a punt block for a touchdown. But I do think Cleveland should be encouraged. The Browns played the Steelers really well, and without shooting themselves in the foot, they might have even won the game. I think the Browns actually have hope for the first time in the entire life, like the entire time I've been alive. The Browns finally have hope, and I think that's exciting. I really would have hope. If you watched that game yesterday in Cleveland, you're like, oh, we are not that bad. If we can clean up some of our mistakes, we might be able to win some games. So that's really, really cool and exciting for fans in Cleveland.